Okay, so when a national football team fails, you'd expect some consequences, right? But what happens when the consequence is the government itself deciding to just destroy the team? Well, today we're looking at exactly that. It's a crazy story where politics and football collide in, honestly, the most destructive way you can imagine.
All right, just picture this for a second. It's a huge tournament, your national team is there, the hopes of the entire country are on their shoulders, and then they just crash and burn. Out early. The disappointment is just massive, right? You're probably thinking, okay, heads are gonna roll, new coach, new strategy, something's gotta change. But instead of all that normal stuff, the soul searching, the tactical breakdowns, the government itself steps in, and they drop a bombshell that absolutely no one saw coming. They ban the players. Yeah, all of them. And listen, this isn't some crazy hypothetical. I'm not making this up. This is exactly what happened in Gabon after a really disappointing Africa Cup of Nations campaign. So today, we're going to break down why this decision was so much more than just a bad call or some bizarre overreaction. This is a move that, honestly, is a symptom of a much, much larger problem. Okay, first things first. Let's get the facts straight. What exactly went down here? So at the Africa Cup of Nations, Gabon's run was, well, it was a total disaster. They finished bottom of their group, didn't get a single win, and were sent packing early. A huge national embarrassment for sure. But believe it or not, the real shock wasn't what happened on the pitch. It was what happened right after. Gabon's sports minister gets on national TV and just lays it all out, a three-part plan. First, the entire national team is suspended, indefinitely. Second, the whole technical staff, gone, dissolved. And third, the senior players, we're talking their captain, their stars, are banned from ever being selected again. Now, this is the really crucial part. You have to get this. This decision didn't come from the Gabonese Football Federation, the people who are actually supposed to be in charge of football in the country. Nope. This came straight from the top, the government. And that, well, that's political power stepping right onto the football pitch. And that move, it changes everything, absolutely. So, why is this such a huge problem? I mean, why is it such a big deal? Well, because when governments start trying to run national teams, it kicks off a crisis that is way, way bigger than just one bad tournament. Let's be crystal clear about something. Governments are not supposed to run football. FIFA, the world governing body, has these explicit, super strict rules that ban what they call government interference. It's a huge no-no. So, by making this move, Gabon isn't just punishing its players. Oh no. It's putting its entire footballing future on the line. I'm talking about the risk of major sanctions from FIFA, getting banned from future World Cups and AFCONs, basically total isolation from the world of football. But beyond all the rules and the regulations, there's a really human cost to this decision, and it kind of centers on one player in particular. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the team's captain, their biggest star. He said it perfectly himself. He said, "The problems are deeper than me." And you know what? He's absolutely right. I mean, just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got Aubameyang, a guy who has literally carried Gabonese football for over a decade, a Premier League star, an international icon. And on the other side, you have a government that, after one bad tournament, decides he's the problem. This isn't just bad leadership, folks. This is scapegoating, pure and simple. And just think about the message this sends to the next generation of young players in Gabon. What are they learning here? That your loyalty will be punished? That you can give everything for your country and it means nothing? Meanwhile, the real incompetence at the top, it just gets a free pass. That is a seriously dangerous lesson to be teaching. Right. And this whole scapegoating thing, it completely misses the point. It just ignores the real deep-rooted problems. Because, let's be real, banning your best players isn't going to magically fix a broken system. So what are the real problems here? What actually led to this failure? See, Gabon's failure at AFCON wasn't just about a couple of bad games. No way. It was the totally predictable result of years and years of systemic rot. We're talking poor youth development, a weak domestic league, awful administration, and just a chronic lack of investment. Banning a player like Aubameyang doesn't fix a single one of those things. Not one. And this is where we zoom out, because this story, it's not just about Gabon. It reveals this really destructive pattern that we see well beyond its borders. Yeah, this is not an isolated incident. It's a pattern.
It's a symptom of a recurring problem you see in football administration all across the continent. And this really illustrates the toxic cycle perfectly. What happens is, politics takes the place of actual planning. Punishment takes the place of real development. And the egos of the people in charge, they replace any kind of accountability. It's a recipe for absolute disaster, not a foundation for success. So Gabon didn't fail at AFCON because of their captain. They failed because a broken system will always fail. It might fail quietly, behind the scenes, for years, until one day, it just collapses. Very loudly on the biggest stage possible.
Look, banning your best players doesn't solve any problems. It just proves you don't even understand what the problems are. So it leaves us with this final big question. Until leaders learn that real long-term development beats short-term drama, how many more teams and how many more players are going to be sacrificed just for politics?